Hey guys, Sliphantom aka Super Noodle here with, at long last, the 100k sub car competition. First of all, sorry this took longer than I expected. I know I had promised to finish this weekend, however, this is my first time doing something like this, and there was a lot more to sort out the first time I had done this than I had expected, and I wanted to make sure I got everything right. But yes, the 100k car competition is here. This is open to anyone who is willing to join and can meet the requirements. It is an automation and BeamNG competition. I will be using both games. However, you only need automation to enter, as you will only need to make a car in automation. However, I recommend having BeamNG because that will help you test your car in BeamNG, as I will be doing on some streams and in a video at some point. And while this is mostly for fun, we do have a few prizes available for the winners. The ultimate winner will get a $50 virtual Amazon gift card, and the runner-up and a honorable mention will get $25 Amazon virtual gift cards. Now, if you're looking for the chance to win one of those prizes, or you just want to join for fun, I'm going to run you through what I'm looking for in this competition, what some of the rules and restrictions are, and how you are to submit your entry into this competition. So first of all, what is this whole competition about? Well, the premise is you're designing a 1985 fleet car. Now, a fleet car is any car, as the name suggests, designed to be mass manufactured and served in fleets. So things like police cars, taxicabs, mail cars, company cars, etc. For the kind of jobs where driving over and over and over again is part of the occupation. This is going to be judged in the context of the United States. I understand I have a lot of international viewers, and I'm not trying to discriminate against you or make it more difficult for you guys, but as I am from the United States, it is easier for me to judge a car in that context. So design a car for the United States, and the biggest implication of that is highway performance. Something needs to be able to drive at decent speeds on the highway without compromising its reliability, its fuel mileage, or otherwise. Again, going back to the example of a police car, something that can barely do 80 miles an hour in its unmodified form probably isn't going to cut it as a fleet car in the United States. I have included an example car, you're looking at it right here. This will be available for download in the description. This car, of course, meets all of the requirements and should give you a good idea of what kind of submission I am looking for. However, don't let that limit your creativity. As long as you can stay within the restrictions, I will accept pretty much anything that's well put together and well designed. So let's start with the restrictions. First of all, absolutely no DLC parts. I know there are a lot of popular DLCs for this game and a lot of parts that increase customizability. However, I don't want to put up with having to download DLCs or hunt down certain DLCs that people might have used for cars. Just don't use any when building your car. Maximum tech year is, of course, 1985. Nothing on your car can date after 1985. It can date beforehand, but basically nothing post-dating 1985. I don't want a car from 1985 with like a 1990s engine in it, or vice versa. Now, you will see when looking through the various categories of this car and its engine that I have a number of quality sliders set to different values. Quality sliders are limited to 5 as a maximum and -5 as a minimum, so just keep it between positive and -5. And the last part pertaining to the chassis or the overall car, no limited production parts. Those would be things like fiberglass and a space frame chassis. I can't show it here because this is all grayed out. However, when you hover over these, it will say limited production part. Any parts like that, don't use them, or again, you're going to get disqualified. Moving on to the engine, I only have 2 requirements for the engine aside from it, working and operating properly. First of all, the car must run on regular gasoline, and that is regular as in 86 AKI gasoline. AKI being the American way of measuring octane, so make sure that when you design your engine, you go into your settings and change that to AKI so that it meets that requirement. If the AKI rating is over 86, I am going to disqualify it. The reason I'm pointing this out is because you can get your engine to run on 86 AKI gasoline, even if it's slightly over, but I want that stay below 86. And the second and only other restriction for engine design is it must have a 3-way catalytic converter. Whether you choose a regular 3-way or the more expensive high-flow 3-way is up to you. I've opted for a regular one on this engine because it's a little more basic, but that's your design choice. If you think that's worth the extra expense, go for it. Finally, moving on to the trim and variant options here. This is where I have the most restrictions, so listen up so that you make sure your car is within the requirements for this. First of all, the car must seat at least 4 and it must have 4 doors. Fleet cars, especially taxi cabs and police cars, it really doesn't make sense to have them as 2-door coupes, and it definitely doesn't make sense to have them as 2-seaters. So at least 4 doors and at least 4 seats. I highly recommend doing 5 seats, however, I will accept 4-seat entries if you absolutely want to do that. Another requirement, medium compound radial tires. This mostly has to do with getting an apples to apples handling comparison between cars, as the tire compounds have a huge effect on the way the cars handle in BeamNG. Now for safety, you need to have at least standard or advanced 80s safety. This mostly has to do with realism, as any fleet car that would be accepted for government service would probably be required to meet certain safety requirements. So again, standard or advanced 80s safety. Now, another thing, and this again has to do with judging this car in the context of the US market, it has to have an automatic transmission. I know that abroad, manual is a lot more common, and probably a lot more common for fleet vehicles. However, in the US market at least, all fleet vehicles are automatic. You can choose the regular or the advanced, but it has to be an automatic. And last but not least, put some real effort into your trim. I don't really have any hard requirements for this. However, if you send me an entry with no door handles, no side view mirrors, no exhaust, no headlights, no taillights, that sort of thing, then I'm just not going to accept it. Try and put everything on here that a real car would have. As you can see with this example car, I've got a functioning grille here, I've got some headlights with high beams, some indicators on the sides, mirrors, handles, taillights, some more indicators towards the rear, a fuel cap, an antenna, an exhaust. You don't need to go into elaborate detail if you just don't think you're that good at styling a car. However, make sure it has the basics. Make sure it looks like a car at least. And those are the requirements. I know they sound like a lot when I read them out to you. However, as long as you meet those requirements, I will at least accept and consider your vehicles. In which case, that should leave for plenty of variety for you guys to be creative so that I can see what your interpretations of this challenge are. Anyway, moving on to how you submit your entries. First of all, once you've finished your car here, you're going to go to the very last part here, the summary, which is this checkbox here, and you're going to go to export car save file, and it will export a .car file. I want you to take that .car file and a text file and stick them in a zip. This text file is going to contain information, including your email, just for contact purposes and so I know who to send the prize to. The name you want me to refer to you by, because that may be different from your email, or you may not want to use your email, etc. The full name of your car, including the year, the make, the model, and the trim which you're using for this competition. And then additionally, if you want, you can include a small bit of story behind your car which you've come up with. Just give me a short little paragraph explaining the fictional story behind your car and why it came to be the way it is. And of course, include any other notes or considerations you want to include with your entry. Once you've put all that into a notepad, and once you have your car file, again, stick those in a zip and go to the link in the description and submit it to my Dropbox. If you are a financial supporter, and that is a patron paying $5 a month or more, or a Twitch sub, there is a special link for you guys to use so I can keep your entries separate from everyone else's. To access this link, if you're a patron, there should be a post on Patreon that only you have access to. If you are a Twitch sub or otherwise, go to my Discord, and in the Inner Circle Supporters Only channel, there will be a link for you to submit there as well. Anyway, make sure you get those entries in before midnight Eastern Standard Time on November the 28th. That's 2 weeks from now. At which point I will be deactivating the links and I will be taking no more entries. But aside from all that, have fun. That's what this whole competition is about after all, and I can't wait to see your entries. If you have any comments or there's anything I failed to fill in, leave that in the comments section below and I will do my best to read those. Otherwise, I will see you guys later and I look forward to judging the competition.